Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The long range meta here in Black Ops 6 Warzone so far is surprisingly diverse. There's a lot of different, very solid weapons to use for long range, whether you're looking for something full auto, semi-auto, a sniper of some sort. And today, I wanted to break down the absolute best of the best long range meta weapons and the best setups for them. So that said, we are starting first right away with a couple of the main sniper metas that have really stood out to me so far. The Victus XMR being the first of them from MW2, of course. Didn't really expect to have an MW2 sniper on a top tier meta list on day one of Black Ops 6 Warzone, but it's actually a nice surprise for sure. The one-shot range on this thing is phenomenal. It's one of the best ones in the game that does have limited range here. It's got a decent ADS, like if you're sniping on big map or Resurgence, you're gonna be set with this thing so long as you get used to the bullet drop and the bullet lead. You'll be all good to go here. So initially for the optic, just go with preference. I've been using the SPX 6.6 times for a long time now, dating back to when it first came out as a sniper scope for MW2, of course. I just really like the look and feel of this thing, but if there's a different scope you like more, as always, feel free to go for preference there. The Spirit Fire suppressor, it's basically doing the same stuff as all the other suppressors in the long term because of how they adjusted pretty much all the muzzles and underbarrels for MW2 and MW3 weapons, but it's helping out with velocity and range. So we're stacking that. We're also stacking the super barrel on here for range and velocity as well. And then we also have high grain ammo, which stacks velocity and range. So we end up with almost a 1200 velo. That's going to be basically hit scan in the vast majority of fights you're going to get into, especially ones within 90 meters of range, which is the effective one-shot range for the one-shot headshot. So 90 meters to get a one-shot knock, incredibly forgiving, especially on Resurgence, but even on big map as well. And then also I do go ahead and use the XRK Rise 50 stock on here. That'll just be better for ADS speed, speeds it up a little bit because this thing is pretty slow for sure. But even then we're at a 578 ADS speed. There are faster options, but for how good the one-shot range is here, that's a great trade-off, all things considered. This is a really consistent sniper. The Kar 98K is in this meta conversation as well. It's got a little bit more limited range than some of the other choices, but it's by far the most aggressive one here. It can still get that one-shot headshot within its first effective damage range. Again, for the optic, it's all preference here. I really like the Intless AS7, but there's a lot of good other scopes here that you could run if you're more comfortable with something else, whether it's a high zoom, a low zoom, whatever you're feeling at the moment, always run that. Sonic suppressor in this case, better velocity, better damage range, so that's part of our stacking here. The 7.62 long barrel is better velocity and better range, so that's part of the stacking. And then so is the high grain. So that said, we end up with just over a 900 velocity. That works great. And then a 67 meter effective damage range, which is pretty consistent, pretty reliable as well, especially for Resurgence sniping, but you could even get away with aggressive sniping on big map too, and that'll suffice. You also get a 322 millisecond ADS speed because we've got no stock on there, which obviously is helping a ton with that. So super aggressive sniper, very forgiving one-shot range, definitely a ton of fun to run around with. Now, of course, Black Ops 6 snipers are also fantastic. The LR762 is a great choice here. I honestly prefer the feel of Black Ops 6 snipers a little bit more, probably just because I've been using them for the past month, going for dark matter and stuff in zombies, but these are incredibly reliable as well. So here we're just going for the basic suppressor, nothing here outside of just keeping ourselves off the minimap, no added range or velocity out of that. The long barrel though, pretty important here, extending out that effective damage range. This will give you the max range when you use this of 85 meters for that one-shot headshot. Unfortunately, if you wanted better velo, you'd have to drop down that damage range, and I'm just not a fan of that. I want to have the absolute best potential one-shot range there. So a 782 velo is all right. It's not the best, but you can definitely get by with that. I do use the quick draw grip for a faster ADS. We're looking at a 520 here, so it's a little bit faster than the Victus, not by much, but it is a little bit more snappy there. Target laser is an unfortunate kind of crutch attachment here for the accuracy when you aim in. Other snipers don't necessarily always have that, where you ADS and then it's just dead center. This, you have to use the target laser to get that effect. Otherwise, you're gonna have weird sway and weird uncentered stuff when you first ADS of you're trying to quick scope and whatnot. Then I also go for rapid fire here, which yes, unfortunately hurts that velocity, but getting those shots off faster back to back to back is pretty important, all things considered, for either the secondary shot in case you don't get that one shot knock, or for the finishing shot, obviously, when you do knock that enemy. So bit of an interesting setup here, but definitely a sniper meta nonetheless. And then right alongside the LR762, the Frostline is a really solid Black Ops 6 one-shot long-range meta as well. Similar range and all things considered here. It's a pretty similar setup as well. So basic suppressor just keeping us off the map. Long barrel, again, this will extend our effective one-shot range out to 73 meters. So still really, really good, all things considered for a sniper. At 748, Velo will work just fine there in terms of the bullet drop and the bullet lead, everything going on with that. Quick draw riser for that faster ADS. We're at a 465 ADS in this case, which is a little bit snappier than some of the heavier snipers. Not quite as fast as the car, but still pretty snappy. Target laser here yet again, and then rapid fire as well for the same reason as over on the LR762. And by the way, as we are breaking down all the weapons and loadouts here, if you enjoy the video, if you find the info helpful at all, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. Does help share the video around and spread it to new viewers. And if you happen to be one of those new viewers, or if you have not subscribed yet, I'd love to have you change that every single day. I got you covered with everything you need to know about COD. News, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here right as it happens, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Next up, maybe a bit of a surprise one, but the DTIR 30-06 from MW3, of course, one of our final metas of the MW3 era of Warzone, is actually still very good for the long range here in BO6 Warzone. Funny enough, the DTIR in like the close range and the mid range is, well, very mid. It's not that great at all in those distances, but then once you get out to 45, 50, 60 meters, it actually ends up overtaking a lot of other weapons in terms of pure TTK, so it ends up being an actual fantastic long range exclusive option here for sure. As far as this setup goes, it's an MW3 gun, and so the setup is very wonky because attachment compatibility is just weird outright, but I really like the NADAR Model 2023 as an optic. I've been ranting and raving about this thing for almost a year now, right? But if there's a different scope you like more, feel free to run that instead. Spirit fire suppressor in this case, better range, better velocity. I feel like the control on this thing is honestly pretty good as is, so I'd much rather opt for better range and velo on a long range gun if I already am confident in my accuracy there. Extended 10 long barrel also helps out that range and that velocity, so we're out to a 41 meter effective damage range and just over 1,000 velo, almost up to 1,100, so that's great for any long range engagement you're getting into. The bow breaker grip is going to work the same as any other vertical underbarrels, so this will give us some better control outright, make the weapon a lot easier to use. And then the 40 round extended mags, the max here, it works with this fire rate. It's not the best in the world, but it's sufficient because the TTK over range of this thing is just so good. You'll be able to get knocks and not have to worry about reloading in the middle of a fight, so long as you're not fighting like 1 versus 4 or anything ridiculous like that. But yeah, the DTIR, surprisingly competitive. All right, so post edit Zach here for a couple of different builds today, because initially when I recorded this, we were still in the process of just starting our hit list event, the community event, of course. And now by the time that I'm ready to upload this, we've gone through and actually unlocked a stock that is applicable for several different long range metas here. So first up, XM4. I've had to adjust my build a little bit, and I actually really love the feel of this thing with this buffer weight stock on here. This thing goes crazy for recoil control. Does hurt your strafe, like if we were to remove it, we can see the full stats on it here. 60% for horizontal control. That is huge. 30% for vertical. It hurts your ADS and your strafe a little bit. That is what it is, but it makes this gun a laser beam. Now, the buffer weight stock's only available on a couple of different weapons. The XM4, the XMG, which we'll talk about in a bit, and the DM10. It's really only necessary on the XM4 and the XMG, but man, is it good on these weapons here. Now, of course, I've also got extended mag 2 on here, pretty basic. It's a 60 rounder. You definitely don't need to go up to 100. That's going to be a little bit too slow in my opinion, so 60 will suffice for, of course, all squad sizes, right? I also go for the gain twist barrel. I like getting up over that 1,000 velo with this. If you really wanted to focus on some extra range too, you could use reinforced. You'd be up to a 900 velo there instead of 1,000, but you'd have a slightly better damage range. You'd be up from 39 meters to 47. So either or between gain twist and reinforced will be good there, but no wrong answer, all things considered. Basic suppressor keeping me off the minimap, of course, then use whatever optic you want. I like the Willis 3 times a lot on the XM4, but yeah, adjusting this setup now for the buffer weight stock does change some things around, and it feels great. Hey everyone, quick little announcement. Right now, Gamer Advantage is doing their best sale of the year. Of course, you guys always see me rocking my Gamer Advantage frames. The new Horizon 2.0 frames are my brand new favorites, upgrading from the original Horizons, which of course, you always saw me wearing in the videos. But right now, for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Gamer Advantage is running a ton of deals. Almost everything on the site has some kind of discount applied to it. Plus, if you use code Immortal at checkout, that stacks on top of the holiday discounts as well, so you can save even more money. So now is the best time possible to go through, grab yourself a pair of GA frames. They got different frames and colorways to fit your style, prescription and regular lenses, quite literally something for everyone. The link will be down in the description below if you're interested. Following that, AK-74. We've talked about this one a lot. This thing is a powerhouse. It's got a quick TTK. It's got crazy good damage output, a little bit more recoil than some other choices here, but still very, very good after you learn to manage it. It is absolutely something you could go into the firing range, shoot some dummies, learn that recoil pattern, and then you're set. You'll be frying in game. Again, I go for the Jason Armory 2 times in this case, whereas 3 times would be my next alternative there. I kind of bounce back and forth depending on the day of the week and what I'm feeling, right? Suppressor, easy, stays off the mini map. You're clean there. You're stealthy, all good to go there. Gain Twist Barrel increases that velo up over 1,000. You already got a crazy good effective damage range, so you're pretty much chilling there. Reinforced could be decent. I mean, you're going to be at a 900 velo. That's not bad either, and you get even better range. Feel free to test around, see if you like the feel of one of these more than the other. Vertical foregrip, max recoil control here for an underbarrel, making the weapon a lot more predictable than extended mag 2 here. 50 round mag works just fine. Again, 60 could be viable for extended mag 3, but it's going to be a little bit slower. I think 50 with this fire rate works just fine, even in quads, even when you're fighting at a disadvantage, just because this thing is so powerful. You're going to rip through enemies as is. Now, probably one of my favorite weapons in the game right now, the GPR-91, probably the most versatile rifle and so good out to about 60-ish meters or so. So through that early long range, you're going to be set, in the mid-range you're set even with this thing too because of its versatility. It fries, and it's so easy to use as well. Again, Jason Armory 2 times optic on here, the basic suppressor, reinforced barrel in this case. Why not get some range and some velo? 876 velo works good. 51 meter effective damage range is also very good as well. Again, if you really want to focus on just getting crazy velocity, if you're only fighting exclusively long range, you want that 1,000 velo. Gain Twist would be sufficient. If you just want to extend out that good damage range, long barrel would be sufficient. I just kind of like the best of both worlds here though. Ranger foregrip in this case. I don't feel like you need max control with vertical when you can be really accurate with Ranger and also get some sprinting movement benefits too. Purely for long range, vertical might be more practical for you though, depending on your skill level and your comfortability with this gun. So by all means, feel free to check this out and see if you, are having more success with this. At the end of the day, if you need to tweak something to get more success, always do that. Then of course, extended mag 2 yet again, 60 round mag size works fine with this fire rate. You'll be all good to go there, but I love the GPR-91 right now. Next up, XMG here. It's an LMG, so it's a little bit slower, it's a little bit heavier, but this thing hits over range. Then, as I was talking about earlier, once you update this with the new buffer weight stock, it just gets even more laser beam-like over those longer ranges, right? So in this case, for my optic, I went for Jason Armory 2 times yet again, but if once more, there's one you like more, feel free to change that. Suppressor to keep me off the mini-map once more. I like the reinforced barrel. In this case, we've got an 858 velo. That's pretty solid. We also, though, have a 57 meter effective damage range, so that is a phenomenal stat. So this thing's gonna melt. Obviously, the buffer weight stock, as mentioned previously, I was using the balance stock and I like the mobility that this offers, but the accuracy that buffer weight brings to the table is just, the best in the game. It's so good, and the weapon just feels incredible. Now, recoil springs is also something I've been messing around with for even more recoil control, but quite frankly, this is something you could adjust out of with the buffer weight stock on there. So if you wanted to change that out, maybe for a rear grip, it's going to give you a better slide to fire or dive to fire speed or a faster ADS so that it's not as heavy. That would be viable here. If you wanted to use an extended mag up to 150 or vice versa, a fast mag down to 75, that could be viable as well. You could also use an underbarrel for even more control if you wanted to. Like, you certainly have some choices because buffer weight's so good and does help out there, but definitely test around with that last attachment, see what works well for you and your play style. Either way, the XMG is going to be feeling fantastic. And then one final edited setup here. Quite frankly, I didn't initially include the RAAL LMG conversion kit in this video because I kind of assumed they'd be nerfing it. Yet, if you're seeing it in this video, it's not nerfed. And this thing's long range TTK is insanely broken. We just covered this in a dedicated video the other day. It's absolutely nuts. So you got to have that Proteon kit on there. Changes it into basically a marksman style rifle when you put it into semi-auto, and its TTK goes absolutely crazy. I also went ahead and used the 2.5 times Eagle Eye for my scope here. This is sort of my preference for MW2, MW3 weapons where applicable, so I like the look and feel of that. Spirit Fire Suppressor, better range, better velocity on here too, so that's going to be feeling fantastic, just making it even more lethal over the long range. 50 round extended mag here, which is not really an extended mag because it's speeding things up, but it's going to work great for semi-auto. You're not going to burn through ammo too crazy there. Then I just went for the Demo H40 stock, some firing aim stability stability, which is convenient, then better control when you're spamming it. Just makes it a tad bit more accurate and easy to use. But yeah, this thing is just crazy broken right now. And then lastly, we kind of got one of my experimental builds here, the DM10. This thing has a really good TTK, but it's by far the highest skill gap weapon because that fast TTK, especially over long range, is entirely determined by 1, how accurate you can be when using a semi-auto gun, and 2, how fast you can spam this thing to reach its fire rate cap and maintain that throughout an entire gunfight. So that's why it's such a high skill gap, but if you can do both those things decently consistently, you're gonna have really, really fun engagements and you will fry enemies with this thing. It just takes a lot of practice and a lot of getting used to. Willis 3 times has been my go-to optic for pretty much all my semi-auto weapons. Really like the look and feel of this on those style guns in particular. I actually don't go for suppressor here, so yes, you will be on the radar, but I find these other 4 attachments with the lack of gunfighter here to be very valuable. Reinforced barrel getting us better velocity and range. We're up over 1,000 velo. We got a decent effective damage range there at 35 meters. Lightweight handguard, also very important for the idle sway. You could also use precision. This will be a little bit less idle sway, but also some horizontal control for what it's worth, but that's important for recentering and just general stabilization when you are firing the weapon consistently. Extended mag 2 is also super necessary. 30 round extended mag, you're going to be burning through ammo as you're spamming fast here. And then I also go for rapid fire. Typically would not use this on a long range gun because usually it hurts the velocity and the range and whatnot, but according to the advanced stats, it doesn't. So you get a faster fire rate with only control decreases, which is not a huge deal on this particular weapon. So you can get a potential faster theoretical TTK with the increased rate of fire and fire rate cap there. So bit of a different setup, definitely an awkward one. If you want to use gunfighter, then sure, you could throw on a suppressor there. You could throw on the balanced stock. You could throw on a rear grip for ADS speed. That'd be a solid build as well. But if you want a pure secondary with overkill or something and you only have 5 attachments, this is a build that actually will get the job done quite nicely. And that being said, those are the best long range options in the game right now, and that's gonna wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be seriously appreciated, and if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you can always guarantee you're in the know for everything going on in Call of Duty. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.